Hello, my name is Amy Jenkins, and I'm here today to help facilitate a discussion called Community Conversations. Let's talk about mental health. Such a very important topic. I work at the Upper Marlboro branch and am happy to be part of this project. And today I have here with me Stacy Smith. Stacy Smith is passionate about serving her community. Reverend Smith is a mental health advocate. She is certified in mental health first aid and supports several mental health organizations such as the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP. She is also a board member for the National Alliance of Mental Illness, referred to by a lot of people as NAMI, of Prince George's County. And this is my brave champion, bringing stories of mental illness and addiction out of the shadows and into the spotlight. So like I said, once again, we're having this wonderful community conversation. And as you know, September is Suicide Prevention Month, and normally our CEO, Roberta Phillips, hosts this discussion, but today I am taking the reins. So welcome, Stacy. We're happy to have you here. So Stacy, I referred to NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness. Could you explain what NAMI and Prince George's means and what is its mission?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me and NAMI to be a part of this conversation. It is needed every day, but especially during times like these that we're having with COVID and all the pandemics in the land. NAMI is the largest grassroots mental health organization with affiliates in every state, including the District of Columbia. Now, I'm affiliated with NAMI Prince George's County, and we were founded in 1981, and we serve our community in three key areas: advocacy, education, and outreach. And so our mission specifically is helping families and individuals who are living with mental illness, and we do that by providing resources and support.
That's wonderful. Such a wonderful resource. How does NAMI work to fulfill its mission? What kind of things does NAMI offer for somebody in the Prince George's County public?
Well, as I mentioned, we do support, education, and advocacy. So one of the things we do is we offer peer-to-peer support groups where those who are living with mental illness can get together with others who are also experiencing the same things, realizing that they are not alone. We also offer outreach opportunities where we can go into our community and let people understand that mental illness may not be what people think it is. Oftentimes people don't have a clear understanding. They mix up terms like mental health and mental illness, and they're not exactly the same. So we educate people on the difference and the importance. We also offer a helpline where people can call, and we have someone on the phone who will be there to offer support, answer questions, or give resources if necessary, even provide medical or legal assistance.
Wow, I didn't know that aspect of it. I learned something new. Thank you, Stacy, for sharing that tidbit with me, because I'm very familiar with NAMI, but I wasn't aware of that. So cool. That's something that we all can learn from that. What does NAMI do as far as, do you have any special current activities that you're working on for this month? Any kind of specific programs or services?
Not specifically for this particular month. We know that September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and October is Mental Health Awareness Week. That's like the week of October 4th, I believe. Because of COVID, many of our projects had to pivot or take a shift. For example, in May, we do our annual NAMI walk, where we do fundraising, and we typically would have walked in Baltimore, but this year, again, we had to do it a little bit differently. So some of our current projects are just to continue strengthening our peer-to-peer, our family-to-family, our helpline, just making sure that the people that are serving in our community are getting the support they needed, and then making sure that our community itself is getting the support it needs. So we don't have any specific programs that we're working on for this month. We're just strengthening the programs that we currently have in place.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. Um, so we're talking about warning signs or risk factors of suicide. As you know, suicide and mental health is all inclusive. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, the country you live in, your eye color, what your religious group, faith group is, the rich or poor. Mental health affects everybody. And in the news, we frequently see sometimes people who are more in the public profile. And we hear, tragically hear, stories of suicide. And so if you were a person in the public, what are some warning signs of suicide and other risk factors?
That is a great question. And it's such an important question because according to the World Health Organization, approximately 800,000 people die by suicide globally each year. And 450 million people currently suffer from mental illness or some kind of neurological disorder. So some of the risk factors and warning signs, let me first preface by saying there is no single cause for suicide. There are several risk factors and warning signs, however, that we can look out for. So things like health. Is the person's health diminishing in any kind of way, or is the health changing? For example, is a person eating less or eating more, maybe as a result of depression or some kind of traumatic experience or some kind of memory from a past that all of a sudden has been triggered in the present. So we look at the health of a person and see, is something changing? We look at environmental risk factors. For example, are they doing things that might be harmful to themselves or others? Are they looking to purchase firearms? Are they utilizing drugs? Is there some prolonged stress? So for example, again, because of COVID-19, a lot of people are under stress because job loss, money loss, being stuck in the house. Then you have this Black Lives Matter protest going on and representation of the LGBTQ community, and all of those kinds of factors environmentally add to what people might be going through. So that's a risk. There are historical risk factors that people don't think about or talk about. For example, family history. Is there a family history of suicide or suicidal attempts? Is there family history of abuse, child abuse or neglect or trauma? I can speak personally, the reason I got involved with NAMI was because in my undergraduate years, I had a very close family member die by suicide. And I had no tools, no resources, did not know any warning signs. And I didn't talk about it because I was ashamed. And so that goes to the next warning sign, which is talk. Is the person talking less? Are they talking more? Or are they talking at all? And then listening to what are they saying? Are they talking about killing themselves or wishing they were no longer here? Are there signs of feeling hopeless or having no reason to live or go on? Are they feeling like they're a burden to others? Do they feel trapped, or are they feeling some kind of unbearable pain and they can see no way out?
So
So,
Stacy, when you're talking about that,
mhm,
I have two other things that I was thinking about in regards to suicidal inclinations. One is giving away your possessions.
mhm.
Somebody decides that, they're just going to get rid of everything. And the second one, I think, kind of ties into what you were saying in regards to, does a person have a plan? Because there's one thing to think about it, and it's another level when somebody has, this is what I'm going to do. So I think those, would you say that those are important things as well?
Absolutely, I would say that for sure. Again, change in behavior, especially drastic changes, are clear indications that something is wrong and the person needs some kind of help or support.
That's very important. Thank you for sharing that. what else is there to look for? Are there any other signs?
Yes, I would say there are a couple of others that come to mind. Behavior, we touched on it just a moment ago. Like you said, are they giving away possessions? Is their behavior changing? Are they withdrawing from their normal activities? Are they withdrawing from family and friends? Are they a bit aggressive or easily offended or easily hurt? You mentioned giving away prized possessions. Are they starting to say goodbye in very subtle ways, as if they're not going to be around for some reason? Are they sleeping too much or sleeping too little? So the behavior is really important to look at and observe. That's a good warning sign that something is wrong. The other part of the behavior is their mood. Are they depressed? Are they anxious? We all experience stress, but a person who might be considering suicide, their level of depression, anxiety, or stress seems to be heightened more so. Do they have a loss of interest? Are they irritable, which is something that I mentioned a moment ago? Are they experiencing humiliation or shame? You know, we all make mistakes because we're human.
Mm-hmm.
But a person who experiences humiliation or shame, maybe because something was done to them or said to them, or they made a choice that maybe wasn't the best and they didn't have the coping skills to deal with it. So they're living with humiliation and shame and they can't figure any other way out. So they contemplate suicide. Are they angry? Are they agitated? Are they just looking for some kind of relief, sudden improvement? You know, we all want relief from stress and anxiety. That's part of the human nature. But a person who might be considering suicide, it's just amplified much more.
That's very true in regards to everything that you talked about and with suicide. Um, there's a lot of different components to that, talking about finding available mental health, some of the challenges as a person myself who has suffered from mental health issues and is amateurly very well, I think, experienced in the whole process of finding a person that you can talk to, finding a psychiatrist, dealing with adjustment to medications, and feeling so miserable that you want something to make you feel better because you desperately feel so badly. That I know those are challenges that people in the mental health um, who have mental health and mental illness have challenges every day of trying to deal with that. Um, so if we talked about what you said, but let's say that somebody reveals to yourself or a family member that they are, suicidal. That's scary to hear from somebody, especially in general, yes, but especially if you're not versed in mental health issues and maybe not having certain techniques or things to do. So how should a person approach somebody who's experiencing a suicide crisis?
So that's oddly one of my favorite questions because what it says is there is a consciousness that this is a need to know. We all need to know how to approach someone, no matter what they're dealing with, but specifically suicide. So the key is be supportive,
Mm-hmm.
gently, lovingly, non-judgmentally, have a conversation with the friend, the family member, the neighbor, whoever it is, and share what you've observed. I've observed that you seem to be a little more withdrawn. Is everything okay? So ask questions, but lean in such that it's not judgmental because all that will do will push a person further in the pit, I call it. Another thing is once we find out perhaps that a person is having some emotional issues or emotional challenges or mental health challenges, I call it the 3 T's: text, tell, and talk. So we have a number that you can text NAMI, N-A-M-I, to 741-741. And a person can receive assistance through text. For some people, that's easier than talking face to face, because again, that element of shame comes in. So a person could text. They could also call the suicide prevention hotline, which is 1-800-273-8255. And that way you can actually speak with a person. The second T is tell. Tell a friend or a family that you love or trust. Either the person who's going through it can do that, or those of us who observe that a person is going through it. So if I don't have the tools, I can tell a friend, hey, I think my sister might be dealing with suicidal thoughts, and I'm just not sure what to do. Can you help me? And perhaps together with that support, by telling a friend or a family member, we can get the resources that we need. The third and most important is talk, talk, talk. Isolation and disconnection can really be something that can push a person over the edge. So you mentioned not being as well-versed. Getting well-versed is really important when it comes to meeting the needs of someone dealing with a mental health crisis. So for example, you mentioned in my bio that I'm a mental health first aider. Well, a lot of us will get certified in CPR, but a lot of people don't know that you can get certified in mental health first aid. And just like CPR is sort of the stopgap or the fill in the gap until emergency professionals can arrive, mental health first aider is one who stands in the gap, providing that support and care until the medical professionals can get involved. So whether that be a therapist, whether that be a practitioner, whether that be a hospital, whether it be a 911 call.
That's really just really important. Can't emphasize that enough, of having mental health first aid. There's so many people in life that are dealing with, you said, mental health issues or mental illness, regardless of either one, who can, people in your everyday life, people that you don't even know. Somebody could just be someone passing by and you would say, oh, I didn't know that that person was having these particular issues. So it should be something commonplace to go reach out and to become mental health, and having mental health first aid as a bridge until you, like you said, those professionals can reach out to individuals. That's really great. And also the sharing of phone numbers, so that people, like you said, if they don't want to deal with people, have that technology and to have that text option or face-to-face or voice communication. So that gives people a variety of different avenues to choose. And that's really important when dealing with mental health, that it doesn't always have to be it doesn't have to always be face-to-face at first, because that might be intimidating to some people, but taking that first little nugget, that first little step towards helping and trying to get treatment for the individual. So as you also referenced, Stacy, we're talking about COVID and all the stresses, parents dealing with education now and connectivity issues, and lack of social connection with people because of technology. So what are your suggestions on helping people who are experiencing depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts during this period of time?
So as a former educator, I taught middle school and high school for over 10 years, and I'm no longer in a teacher in the classroom. I'm actually in full-time ministry now, but my heart bleeds for parents, teachers, and students right now, because this idea of should we go back in the building, should we not? And then parents who may not be equipped enough to help their child. And then there's a shame that comes with that. And sometimes we can go down that trail of guilt and shame, and it can take us to a negative place. So I think some of the coping tips that I might recommend is, first of all, give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. If you're feeling emotional distress or some kind of stress, first of all, give yourself permission to feel that. But then second, give yourself grace to know that, listen, we're all in this together. I'm not the only one. And this goes back to the talking part. leaning on someone else. Maybe it's another mom, or someone else, who's got children your same age, and talk to them. Hey, how are you handling this? What are you doing? If it comes to technology issues, it might mean reaching out to the school, reaching out to the teacher and say, I don't have the bandwidth for my internet connection, or I don't even have a way to connect on the internet. Another thing is setting limits on media consumption. That includes social media or local or national news. It's one thing to be informed. It's another thing to feel like you're drowning in the poor and bad news every day. That does not help anyone's situation. Another one, which is my favorite, is stay active. Make sure that we get enough sleep, enough rest, and this word that people don't like, enough exercise. Because when we stay hydrated and we avoid excessive amounts of caffeine or alcohol and we get moving, it does something to the endorphins in our brain. It's kind of like a happy pill for our brain when we get moving. So staying connected with people is a third one, I would say. Connected with loved ones, even during times like this. So like what you and I are doing, maybe connecting via Zoom. I know a good friend of mine, she and her family get on Zoom every Sunday at 1 o'clock just to see each other's face. Not for any other reason. Sometimes they play games, sometimes they catch up. And I said, I love that idea. I might have to use that. Making sure that we get accurate information. Not everything that's in the news is always accurate. And so using resources like the cdc.gov, or using resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I bring that up because there are people who were already in domestic violence situations in their homes that were not speaking about it. And now, because of the stay-at-home order, they may be trapped in their home with their abuser. And so we want to make sure that we reach out to people, that we stay connected to people, that we limit our social media, limit our media consumption, and stay active. Those are just a few coping tips that I could share right off the top of my head.
I was also thinking about something else because you brought up some very good tips. I was also thinking things that you can do for yourself to self-care, because during this time, all this is going on, and we really need to be kind to ourselves. So that means it could be a multitude of things, but, give yourself a pat on the back, have a nice bubble bath, maybe some other things to be expressive, coloring, journaling, all of those kinds of things, because we need to take care, in addition to talking about sleep and wonderful physical exercise, but you have to do these things to help love and support yourself. So those are a couple of things that just came to my mind of, unleashing some kind of creativity, and just being kind and set aside a time for you, because it's not selfish to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So those were some of the things that were coming to my mind, in addition to all of the wonderful things that you said. So what is the role of faith in preventing suicide and promoting mental health?
So I appreciate that question. First off, let me just say that everyone can play a role in this conversation about mental health. Being an ordained minister, I am passionate about getting faith-based communities to talk about it more. There needs to be a safe place. So regardless of what someone's faith belief is, churches and faith communities need to be able to be a safe place, whether it be a haven, as I mentioned, for those with domestic violence, whether it be a place where someone who might need food, because right now there's a shortage of income coming in the home. So a church or a faith-based organization can open their doors and offer support in that way. Faith and community leaders really can be the first point of contact when individuals and families face mental health problems. Faith and community leaders also need to come together and educate their congregation, their organizational members on the importance of mental health. So increasing awareness is another way that faith can play a part in making sure that people get the help that they need. I think a third thing is that faith communities are in a really unique position to reach millions of people. So a lot of churches, for example, are doing online worship because we're not able to meet in the building. And there are people that tune in virtually that never walk through our doors. And so this gives an opportunity for connection. Whether they believe or don't believe the same way we do, it gives them a portal for connection. And that might help turn the tide in terms of what they might be feeling or thinking. And then I think the other way is that faith and community leaders need to be open-minded to people's situation, regardless of race, gender, regardless of sexual preference, regardless of whatever a person's state of life or state of being might be. Faith communities are supposed to be places where people can come as they are and get what they need. And so I think faith plays an important role in, or faith communities play an important role in that.
Excuse me, that's a very good point in regards to that. A sense of social connection, a sense of community, a sense of assistance and helping with those things, like you said. With a food pantry, there are also some faith communities that offer assistance with like your electric bill and your water bill. So there's a variety of different services that a lot of faith communities have. So they are an important resource to reach out to. How can the community partners, such as nonprofits, help with the educating the community on the importance of mental health and wellness?
Well, I want to give a bravo and a shout out to you and the Prince George's County library system for even having conversations like this. This is one example of how community partners can support one another. Nonprofits in particular, let's just be honest, we need money. Nonprofit organizations need money, and we recognize that at times like this, money may be tight for people. But I look at it this way. I'm not going out as much as I did before, so maybe places where I would have needed gas for my car, well, I don't need as much gas. So maybe even $5 donation to organizations like NAMI or other organizations like SAMHSA or AFSP, and we use a lot of acronyms, but these organizations that support mental health and wellness. So donations. Another way is volunteer. Volunteer your time, your talent, or your treasure. It could mean sometimes we need to mail things out because not everybody's on the internet, not everybody has email. So we need people who are gonna stuff envelopes. If we go advocacy, we go to Annapolis every year, maybe twice a year, so that our county officials and our local leaders understand that this is a vital issue for our community. So when we go, we need people who will come with us because there's something in the power of numbers. A third way is to join, become a member. You know, we hear this phrase, membership has its privileges. Well, membership also is powerful. It's a powerful statement where we say, this matters to me. You matter to me. And so I'm going to join your organization. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to donate. And I'm going to be there. And whatever you need, if I can offer it, if I can do it, I want to do it.
Stacy, if I just can interrupt just for a second, just to say that a person doesn't have to have mental illness to be part of NAMI. It could be just a topic that you're passionate about, or maybe somebody, one of your friends has, or family members has experienced it, and that you believe in the importance of the organization and moving and taking that message forward. So you don't have to be a member. I mean, you don't have to have mental health issues or a mental illness to be part of NAMI.
You're absolutely right. And thank you for mentioning that. I think it doesn't cross my mind sometimes because I've been active with NAMI long before I was a board member. I was a volunteer. NAMI was there, as I mentioned, that I had a family member who committed suicide and I needed help. And I knew of NAMI, I'd heard of them. And so I called the number there was a person who offered assistance. I don't have mental illness. I don't have a mental health condition, but someone that I loved dearly did. Then fast forward to 2013, I found out that my youngest son has bipolar disorder. For a long time, I just said he has the blues. He just seemed moody and down. Figured it was just a teenage thing. He had just graduated high school. And so that's when I began to elevate my understanding of what does mental health look like and how can I offer support. So you're right. You don't have to have a mental health condition. Someone you love may have it. Someone in your community may have it. And you just want to be more educated. I had to learn algebra and trigonometry in school. And I often wondered, why do I need to learn that? When will I ever need that? But the school system understood that we wanted to give you a broad education background. Well, I think that's true. We need to have a broad life skills background. And having conversations like this is very helpful, especially when we want to promote acceptance and awareness.
I'm glad you brought up the topic of acceptance and awareness. As we were discussing before we were recording, that we're in the year 2020. As a person myself who has a mental illness that I'm successfully has been managed, I understand that it's a hard road to walk through, and that people have preconceived notions that every person who's dealing with mental health issues is somehow deficient, defective, that they have limited intellectual capacity, and that they're going to be sudden mass murderers. And as we know, the truth is that people are wonderful the way they are. Just like people have cancer. People don't want cancer, but cancer happens to people, and it's heart attacks happen to people. So people talk about cancer. They advocate for health, heart-related cardiovascular health. But mental illness is at the root of it. It's an illness. It's not that somebody wants this, but it's harder to understand because people can't see it. They see manifestations of something, but there seems to be, in my opinion, less tolerance of certain symptoms that an ill person is experiencing, but their illness is real. And it's the same as another kind of illness. And then, there's still stereotypes. So I think in 2020, we've moved forward. In this sense, there's a broader medications that are potentially available for people, varieties of health medical personnel out there to help treat. But I do believe that we still have a long way to go so that a person doesn't have to feel ashamed and demoralized because they have this mental health issue. And while things may not be going well for them at a period of time, to offer solace and hope through peer counseling for somebody like myself who has run the gamut of mental health from being first diagnosed and to living and working successfully. So I think the conversations like these are very important, that they need to have many, many more conversations so that more attention is paid to offering these services to the community, that there are resources available and it's not taboo. So I want to thank you for playing such an important role in Prince George's County and with the mental health community. As we were talking before, you mentioned some phone numbers. Would you mind just sharing that one more time with us? So that if people are watching and they didn't get it the first time, that they can have another opportunity to write those phone numbers down?
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure to do that. I will say very quickly, part of the reason that I'm a mental health advocate are the personal reasons I share, but it goes along with something you just said. It's my desire to be a voice of hope in our community. And so I appreciate you sharing your story, and I know that others will value that as well, because it lets them know that You're not alone.
Mm.
The numbers that I mentioned earlier is you can text the word NAMI, N-A-M-I, to the phone number 741-741. Another number that's good for you to have is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 800-273-TALK, or 800-273-8255. NAMI also is available, and so we have a phone number. Let me get that really quickly.
Sure.
Our phone number is 301-429-0970, and people can also go to our website, namipgc.org.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. It's great to have those at the tip of your, fingers to be able to pull that as a resource to help an individual, yourself or a family member or somebody else in the community. So once again, Stacy, I really want to thank you for being part of this conversation. It's so important to help ease the stereotypes. And I think the more that you talk about it and people share their stories, that, like you said, you feel like you're not alone. And it's a source of motivation for somebody who thinks that, oh, I'll never, ever get through this. And I thought that myself in the very beginning when I was diagnosed in my early 20s. So there is hope out there. And what a great resource NAMI is, and to help the community move forward. So maybe, Stacy, in the future, we'll be able to have another discussion and be able to continue sharing this message so that the community, can benefit from learning a little bit more. And maybe we can move it in a different venue, maybe a different topic. So that would be fun moving forward. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with the Prince George's County Memorial Library System today. And I look forward to talking to you in the future.
It's been my pleasure talking with you, Amy. Thank you so much for what you're doing to move the needle on mental health. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.